right, we got Karl Mecklenburg relives an unlikely All-Pro career that wouldn't be possible in today's NFL.
On this episode of Broncos Legends, we're chatting with former All-Pro linebacker and Ring of Famer Karl Mecklenburg.
And this is cool because
Karl,
he's
thanks
actually
for taking
talking
some
about his
time to
career.
talk here. We like to start all these out by simply asking, what have you been up to lately?
Well, lately I've been spending a lot of time with my family, obviously with the pandemic. I'm a professional speaker. I do about 40 keynotes a year and have for 15 years. Enjoy it. I get to perform and I never get hurt. It works out well. Obviously this year that's not happening as much, but when I do it, I'm doing it like this, a lot of Zoom stuff. So
you still get a similar type of rush though before you get on stage?
I really do. Yeah, it's took me about 10 years of speaking before I finally got to the point where I was as comfortable on a stage as I was on a football field. But I remember when it happened, there was a bunch of stuff going wrong and, fire alarms going off and the microphone didn't work right, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with it.
Nah, you know what really made it out? The slums, bro. When their Christmas tree looked like this, bro. When that Christmas tree got colors like blue, orange, yellow, that's when you know you made it out the motherfucking gutter, nigga. I've been seeing red and green for the past 20 years and silver.
I'm just as comfortable here as I was back on the field.
Karl, what kind of things do you like to talk about? A motivational speaker? Is that the type of thing?
Yeah, I am. I talk about teamwork, with leadership being the ultimate expression of teamwork. Courage, the courage to try new things, the courage to be decisive. Dedication, which I describe as hard work, constant learning, quit. Desire, that's the dream, the passion, the mission. Honesty and forgiveness with yourself and self-evaluation with others. And finally, goal setting. Reasonable, short-term, specific steps to get you to those desires, those passions, those missions. So that's
Facts.
Generally what I'm talking about. Every organization has its own issues and has its own things to celebrate. So it's every presentation is tailored to their challenges and their needs. But it's all story based. It's fun. It's funny. Some of it's not, but a lot of it is funny. And I think especially in today's world, people are looking for just something to maybe motivate them a little and something to make them laugh a little.
Into the end zone, safety. Mecklenburg slams it to Delwig. The ball pops loose and goes out of the end zone.
Thinking back to your playing days here in Denver, how would you describe the type of player you were?
Oh my gosh, still whooping the Bengals ass. See, yo, man, nigga, we been like that, bro. Bengals fans, y'all niggas need to pipe down, bro. That game was lucky. That last game y'all had was it was luck, all luck. You feel me? That shit was all luck.
One of the things I talk about in my presentations is decisiveness, the courage to be decisive. I was a 12th round draft choice. Nobody expected me to make it because height, weight,
is that the Patriots?
I didn't match up, but I found out early on in my career, if you could take the first step in the right direction before anybody else did, all the angles would change in your favor. The tight end couldn't pin you in, the guard couldn't cut you off, the fullback couldn't keep you from getting to the line of scrimmage. Everything changed, and that was really my career. It was based on that. Joe Collier was an amazing guy. I was drafted, like I said, as a 12th round draft.
Oh my God, still whooping the Chiefs' ass. Yeah, we've been doing this shit for a long time now, huh? We've been doing this shit before my existence.
Drafted as a nose guard. I was a 240-pound nose guard.
You just clotheslined him.
I got hurt right away.
Am I casual for not knowing this dude played for my team? Nah. I didn't know either. This is the first time I ever heard of bro. I'm not gonna lie. But that's the whole purpose for these videos, It's like a Broncos history lesson. You know how back in history class they got you learning about slavery, the slave trade, and the Cold War, and World War I and II, and it's like this. History class.
So they moved me out to defensive end, and I made the team as a third down pass rusher. 2 years later, Joe and Merle Moore at the time was the linebacker coach, and Stan Jones was the defensive line coach. The three of them got together and said, I think Karl's actually a linebacker. We should move with linebacker. I switched to linebacker. I made the Pro Bowl.
This is Broncos history. And me, Uncle's the teacher, LOL. Nah, I ain't gonna lie, that's accurate. You might have to be the teacher. Because I'm not gonna lie, you're 2 for 2 with these. Like, you're 2 for 2. I have never heard of the albino rhino before. You know what I'm saying? And this is cool because the viewers that are watching this through YouTube, are going to see this and be like, damn. So that's why my team was this great. My team has always been like this. Helps everyone else. So I ain't gonna lie, yeah. Berserker, you might be the teacher.
But I also still played defensive end. I played defensive tackle. I played on the left. I played on the right. Then all of a sudden they moved me to outside linebacker when they had matchup issues out there. And there were games I played all 7 defensive front positions. And that's something nobody's ever done before and probably will never do again. Everybody else had to know
7 different positions.
You had to have the right group of guys that were smart enough. You had to have the coach that really identified something in an individual that he was trying to take advantage of. Joe moved me all over the place, and what a great opportunity.
That's crazy. Most I've seen is like DB and like returner or QB tight end, you know, wide receiver, running back. We're talking about 7 positions. He played 7 positions, all like in one game too. All in one game. We're talking about 7 different like fronts. Like that's 7 different schemes. That's 7 different coaching plays. Like damn.
It's over there in the huddle over there. I do. I want to go 42 Rams, 2 yards, Bronco 5.
You give a lot of credit to Joe Collier then, huh? For your
I really do. And Merle Moore. I mean, I never played linebacker in my life until my 3rd year in the NFL. I knew how to take on a blocker. I knew how to use angles to my advantage. I knew how to tackle somebody, but standing up and off the ball and having to move 360 degrees was different.
And it's like I know it hurts too, because it's like there's no cushion in that helmet.
And you're taking the same step regardless of what's happening. That's what a lineman's doing. As a linebacker, everything is based on what the offense is doing. So it was a big adjustment, and the foresight and the ability of Joe Collier and Merle Moore to take a guy who'd never done it before and make those switches was tremendous coaching. I mean, that's what a coach should do, right? A coach should look at a guy and say, this is where his skill set lies. So I'm going to build a system. I'm going to put him in a position where he can be successful.
Number 77.
And then that's coaching 101. But they make it so hard now. Like they make it so hard. Instead of seeing like a generational talent and building a system around it, they're just gonna leave that nigga in the ocean to swim by himself and drag everyone with him and save money in the process. Why do niggas do that now? Like, why do coaches do that shit? You already know that helmet not doing shit. Yeah, them weak ass helmets, bro. Like,
Karl Mecklenburg continued to excel at whatever position defensive coordinator
the
Joe
Raiders?
Collier put him. Whether it was defensive end, outside linebacker, or inside linebacker, Mecklenburg's versatility and toughness earned him his 3rd straight trip to the Pro Bowl.
You mentioned the key, taking that first step. How did you know how to take that first step faster than everybody else?
I think it was trusting myself. I think it was preparation. I think it was understanding the game of football maybe a little bit more than a lot of guys around me. Understanding the whole scheme. I mean, as an inside linebacker, as a play caller, you've got to make the adjustments for everybody else. You got to. You're basically the quarterback.
Tackle for loss.
Now, most guys don't have to play all those positions. They have to know what that position does, though. So I think I understood the scheme better than a lot of the guys that I was playing with.
Damn.
And, trust myself. I'd go. I mean, if you got to think about it, you're too late. It's over. So I had that first step, and that was a huge thing for me.
You mentioned being a 12th round draft pick.
Heard that he just went, bro. That's a nigga with that it factor. That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. LOL, the cam protector.
I read a story that you were asleep when you got drafted. Is that true?
Yeah, I was. It was the second day. It was like midnight. I was asleep. My girlfriend, my wife now, was there with me. We were gonna have the celebratory margarita or whatever. When I finally got the call, and finally I just went to sleep. And, it was midnight, and Jenny Ann, who worked for the Broncos at the time, called me. It wasn't even a coach. She said, we're gonna mail you an airline ticket. Come on out and let's see what you can do. So that was it. Went back to bed.
That was the same draft as John Elway. So when you got to Denver, Well, there's a lot of
Really? So when John Elway was getting drafted, this was the nigga on defense. Damn, it's all making sense now. That's why niggas was whooping that ass back then. Cause you had John Elway on the offense, you had this nigga on the defense. Damn, and then let alone Randy, Dennis Smith. Damn. The albino rhino and Johnny Elway.
a hoopla. Huh?
Damn.
It really was. I mean, when John first came in, he was such a great athlete. I mean, there were no question about his athleticism. But I don't think he knew how to work real hard. I don't think he's ever been challenged the way you're challenged in the NFL. And it took him a couple years before, he was the guy that was, first in and last out and getting everything done that needed to be done before a game. Particularly,
we heard about that
when we were playing against teams that weren't as good. He would mess around and not prepare early on. Later on, he was great against anybody.
We know how to win the big games. And it just comes down to a matter who wants it the most.
In today's game, versatility is so important. You see some of these guys play a bunch of different positions, but not quite like you did it. I mean, how do you think you would have fared in today's world?
I wouldn't have made the team. Really, I don't look good in shorts. They spend most of their time in shorts. I mean, I'm a hitter. I'm a guy who's not a height, weight, 40-time guy. I'm not, I don't jump out at you when you run me through the calisthenics or any of that. I'm a football player, but I don't think I'd have had a chance to ever make the team. Now they have to base so much of their evaluation of a player on what they did in college or just the walkthroughs, and I don't know how you do that. Fortunately, we were two-a-days in Greeley and hit each other in the mouth every single practice, and I'm good with that.
So he was one of them niggas I was just hitting. I ain't gonna lie, every player, I don't give a fuck, bro. Every nigga has that. They have that one player on their team who just goes 100% every single play. Coach be like, go 30%. Blows the whistle. Niggas is running full force. And then Scout O just has to take that shit because it's like, bro, that's what Mecklenburg sounds like.
You're sort of famous for the number of surgeries you had. How many did you have during your career?
During my career, I don't know. I've had 18 football-related surgeries at this point.
18?
A bunch of them. But I only missed 5 games. I mean, you
5 games missed? 18 surgeries? Oh no, we might have to get a jersey. Nah, hold on. Nah, this nigga is yo. This nigga's a dog. See, that's a nigga with that it factor. That's what I'm saying. You can't coach that. The trainer themselves would be like, I ain't gonna lie, just take the rest of the season off. I'm not gonna lie. You got another surgery? Pack it up. Nah, fuck that shit. This is greatness.
Until the season's over, and then you have the surgery, and then you have the off season, and then
the one chin strap. Oh my god.
But yeah, I've had 10 knee surgeries and a number of other surgeries. But fortunately, I wasn't. Once again, like I said before, my career wasn't based on athleticism. My career was based on understanding what was going on around me, and that only got better as I got older. I may have gotten more broken down, but I understood things a little better every year.
I think you were quoted once saying you don't have a limp because you had the same number of knee surgeries on each side.
Right? That's changed. I've had a couple more on my right now.
Karl, really,
damn.
Thank you so much for chatting today.
My pleasure, Phil. Take care. Merry Christmas, huh?
Merry Christmas, bro. I'm not gonna lie. So you're telling me when it was John Elway on offense, Mecklenburg, Gradishar, and Dennis Smith on defense. Orange Crush. Damn, bro. And we were still underdogs. Niggas didn't see us as a big market. I don't even think we're a big market now. I mean, 2015, 16. Oh yeah, and Steve Atwater. I ain't forget about, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Lyles Auto. See, that's a nigga I don't even know. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know yet. Damn, man. This is crazy.